PC gaming doesn't need to be all about liquid-cooled RTX 2080 Ti's and overclocked 10900Ks. In fact, realistically, a lot of you guys are probably more interested in building a gaming PC under $700 or so. After all, looking at the most recent Steam survey, only around 10% of gamers are actually gaming above 1080p resolution, and you certainly don't need a $2,000 gaming rig for that. So today we're talking about the best budget gaming PC hardware that you can currently buy, the parts that offer the best value and performance for the money, and also some parts that you should probably avoid. First up, let's talk about GPUs, because after all, this is the most important component of your gaming rig, and you do have some really good options here. I would also assume that no new budget GPU releases will be coming out this year, unless Nvidia and AMD both break their pattern of releasing their high-end cards first with their new launch. That means for the rumored upcoming Nvidia Ampere GPUs that most are expecting later this year, you probably won't see a $200 to $300 option until next year. And then for AMD's upcoming RDNA 2 GPUs, apart from knowing that this generation will exist in the new Xbox Series X, there's not much that we know. So while high-end cards like the RTX 2080 Super and 2080 Ti don't make much sense buying right now, current budget cards probably won't be phased out anytime soon. So here's what I'd recommend. At $229, you really can't beat the GTX 1660 Super, which features faster GDDR6 memory than its two other 1660 siblings. This means that it performs very similarly to the GTX 1660 Ti in most games, while being priced closer to the standard 1660. The RX 5500 XT from AMD is also in this price bracket, right around $200 US, but the performance just isn't there in comparison. Not to mention, the 1660 Super also features the updated NVENC hardware encoder, which also means that if you want to, you can stream your games to a service like Twitch at a high quality with almost zero performance hit. NVENC can also be used to speed up video encoding apps like Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, important to consider if you're doing any content creation tasks. If that's a little out of your price range though, you've also got the GTX 1650 Super at $159, and if I was personally building an esports gaming rig on a tight budget for titles like CSGO, Valorant, or Rainbow Six, this is likely the card that I'd be reaching for. Story-based single-player titles will also be capable with the 1650 Super as well. Just keep in mind that you'll need to play at more moderate quality settings for a stable 60 FPS. But if that's still too pricey for you, you can get away with AMD's RX 570, which feels almost ancient at this point, but it's still an okay option with some models at as low as $119. It does pull a bit more power than those other two GTX options that we just mentioned. It doesn't have features like NVENC, but if you can find one for around $119 US, then it does make sense. Any more than that, say $130 to $140 US, and I definitely encourage you to put away some extra cash for a 1650 Super. Now let's say you have a bit more extra cash to spend. Beyond these three GPUs, you'd need to weigh up the pros and cons between the AMD RX 5600 XT and the RTX 2060. Both perform similarly in terms of frame rate, while the 5600 XT is the cheaper option by around $30 to $50 US on average. I do believe that you are getting a better product overall though with the RTX 2060. Like the 1660 Super, you can stream on it, no problem. It has a far better overclocking and tuning experience, and RTX features like DLSS 2.0 are actually becoming useful in some games. One thing you also have to consider with the 5600 XT is whether it comes shipped with the updated VBIOS, packing a faster 14 gigabits per second memory speed and lifted power target. Some models do not have that, and that has been a huge mistake on AMD's behalf. Either way, these two cards can handle graphically intense single-player titles no problem at 1080p resolution. I'd also consider them entry-level cards for 1440p. Overall, you've got a few really great options here that are still worth picking up, even with newer generation cards potentially coming out later this year. It's really going to depend on your budget here and what games you play. Now, when it comes to the CPU, you're definitely going to want to stick to AMD, not only because their current gen Ryzen processors have decent clock speeds and and single-threaded performance, but you'll also gain overclocking support for both the CPU and memory when choosing a B450 or B550 motherboard. When you take a look at the Intel side of things, their i3s for example, which I was personally really looking forward to, they just held back a bit too much. The performance of the i3 10100 is a bit lower than the Ryzen 3 3300X pretty much across the board. Part of that is due to the lower supported memory speed of 2666 MHz, unless you're pairing it with an expensive Z490 motherboard, which I definitely do not recommend. The bottom line is that your best choices here are either the quad-core Ryzen 3300X or the 6-core Ryzen 5 3600. I did a video recently comparing these two CPUs directly to see whether or not the 4 cores is enough for gaming today and whether it's worth spending the extra cash for the 3600. We found that for most titles, especially esports and first-person shooters, you're not going to benefit from the additional cores on the 3600, and you're actually better off with the 3300X's faster clock speed. If you do have some cash left over, I'd highly recommend putting that towards a budget CPU cooler like this Hyper 212, as the 3300X does run quite warm and benefit from lower temperatures. But it also does just come down to what's available in your region, and you most likely will have better luck finding the R5 3600 compared to the 3300X. Then comes the motherboard choice, and here you'll want to stick with either a B450 motherboard that explicitly supports Ryzen 3000 CPUs out of the box, or spring the slight bit of extra cash for a B550 board and make your life a bit easier. B550 will have better memory compatibility than most B450 boards out there. You don't have to worry about a potentially incompatible BIOS, and it's also guaranteed to support the next generation of Ryzen CPUs later this year. Those few things alone are why I definitely encourage you to spend the extra cash, which probably isn't that much extra in reality. Now, when it comes to Ryzen APUs, those are processors that include relatively powerful onboard graphics, I feel like they're in a bit of a weird spot at the moment, because here's the APU that I'd really like to recommend, the Ryzen 2200G. But it seems like it's reached end of life at this point and you can't find it anywhere. The $100 3200G is an okay alternative and does have a higher overclocking ceiling, but your only challenge there is finding a cheap enough B450 motherboard to pair it with that also has an updated BIOS out of the box or the BIOS flashback feature. You've also got the Athlon 3000G for $50, which is honestly not a bad deal at all, but again can only really be justified if you can pair it with a cheap and compatible B450 motherboard. That way you can also overclock it and have some sort of upgrade path into the future. Also, if you're in a position where you are able to put a bit of cash aside week to week for a budget discrete GPU like a 4GB RX 570, it is clearly worth it, as you can see here. As great as APUs are, if you want to game confidently at 1080p resolution, a discrete GPU will take you a long way in comparison. Now, when it comes to memory, thankfully there is some good news here too. A 16GB kit of 3200 MHz RAM will only set you back $60 or so, and that's plenty when it comes to gaming and additional tasks. There's no point in getting anything less in my opinion when kits like this are so affordable, and anything more is hard to justify spending extra on since you probably don't need it if you're primarily interested in gaming. So let's put all of these parts together and take a look at a few parts lists. At the absolute bare minimum, here's what a sub $300 PC would look like with the Athlon 3000G. We are compromising quite a bit here. We had to go with an ultra budget case, just 8GB of memory and a spinning hard drive versus a much faster and quieter SSD. The motherboard that we're pairing it with does allow for processor and memory overclocking, allowing you to squeeze a bit more performance for your money. Some reviews of this board also state that it does support Ryzen 3000 out of the box, which is good to hear. You could also bump that Athlon processor up to the Ryzen 3200G if you're willing to spend the extra $50, and that's something that I would recommend if you do actually want to game at somewhat reasonable frame rates, although again still at reduced resolutions. But here's a template that I personally don't think you can go wrong with if you're gaming at 1080p, and I think most of those looking to do a budget gaming PC build now should definitely definitely aim for something like this. I also think this build sets you up very nicely for future GPU upgrades down the road, as a lot of the components here like the P300A mesh case, high-speed 16GB memory kit, fast M.2 storage, not to mention the Ryzen 3300X, these are components that I'd also recommend for $1,000 plus gaming builds. It wouldn't be too unrealistic to pair these parts with an RX 5700 XT instead if you have the extra budget for it. And if you are really concerned about getting the most performance for your money that you can when it comes to PC hardware, definitely consider the used market as well, specifically when it comes to GPUs. Just keep in mind that there is always a risk associated with that, so preferably stick to used hardware that isn't too old. GPUs like the GTX 900 series or 10 series, or even used RX 570 and 580s should be pretty easy to find and fairly reliable. If you are interested in buying new though, I will leave some links down below to the hardware that I currently recommend and the hardware that still makes sense to buy right now. As always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.